we're handling a unit called Prepare for Material Testing. I know you've introduced material testing, but it's because there is a shift of how the units are approached. We have to start first with prepare for material testing, and let's just get straight to it. Okay, just a minute. Let's just get straight to it. All right. So, I hope you can clearly see the screen.
Yep.
Okay, okay. So, I want this class to be as engaging as possible. We will also have a quiz at the end of this class. By the end of this lesson, we are going to have a quiz to just to check your knowledge and what you have gathered or learned, what you have processed throughout this class. If you feel you have any question, you just raise your hand. There is a place where you can raise your hand somewhere there. Uh, yeah. So let's get started. What comes to your mind when you hear prepare for material testing? Somebody can start us off. Yes, when you hear prepare, hmm? Egala,
Yes.
what comes to your mind?
Prepare for material testing.
Yes.
To me,
What prepare for material testing,
Mm-hmm.
to me it comes like you gather the materials ready to go to the lab to test.
Mm.
Mm.
Let me note down that which you've said. You've said, let me have another slide here, new slide here. So you're saying that it entails you prepare before the lab, eh?
you
Before,
prepare materials.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
prepare
For going to
materials.
test in the lab. Yeah.
Prepare materials for to test in the lab, eh?
In the lab. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good point to start us off. Another point that can start us off. What do you think will entail prepare for material testing? Yes. Somebody else? Let's have who? Uh,
Kaingu.
Kaingu. Yeah, Kaingu. Erickson utakuwa unaniambia yes. Kaingu?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Yes. So it entails gathering the procedure of a certain test. Yeah, before you do the actual test. So gathering the procedure of doing the test.
Okay. Kaingu is telling us something here very important, that you need to have the procedure. You need to gather the procedures. Gather procedure. You need to gather procedure. Yes. And maybe I can just pose this question. Where do we get procedures? Yeah, where do we get the procedures? Mm-hmm. Who is that one who is let me help this person to mute. Where do we get the procedures? Gitonga or Erickson? Where do we get the procedures? Ah, Kaingu still? You've told us we gather procedures. Where do we do we get the procedures?
from the lab testing.
Just be bold. You guys are correct. Douglas,
Yes.
procedure tunatoanga wapi hiyo yenye tutaenda kutumia?
Yeah, tunaweza ingaza from the previous resources.
Mm,
Mnaweza toa kwa site from where the material is.
mm.
So yeah, and now you can get them from the old
Previous,
site and the old resources.
previous
Mm.
testing.
Okay,
Yes,
so you're saying we can get them from previous resources. Have have you
yes.
guys heard about what
Yes.
something we call a lab manual? Laboratory
Lab manual.
manual. Have you heard something about that?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay? So, procedures are obtained from laboratory manuals which have been created or designed from known or recognized standards. Standards. Recognized standards. So we have standards such as the Indian standards, we have the British standards, we also have American standards. Yeah, and then we have a number of standards. So ukiangalia kwa hizi standards utapata zimespecify, kama for example mnataka mfanye compressive test on concrete, the standards zimespecify the procedure. So what do? As an engineer, you go to the standards, extract the procedure, and then have it speculated in what you call a laboratory manual. Okay? So
Yeah.
it is important that you familiarize yourself with laboratory manuals, just as my friend Joshua was saying, that you familiarize yourself with laboratory manuals before you go to the field. So he's saying that preparing for material testing will also involve gathering these manuals together. Ndio niende huko field, lazima nikuwe najua how will I do this test. And for me to know that, I need to have the manual which has been prepared from recognized standards. Sawa sawa. That is, I can see you guys have a very, very good idea of what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. And also, when we talk of preparing for material testing, unapata sometimes you can go to the field and you find the materials that you've gathered, maybe they are large in size. You can find materials that are large in size. Yeah, you can find materials that are large, and you cannot test them when they are large. So in fact, crushing them into small pieces is one of the things that you do to prepare before you test. Before ufanye hiyo testing, lazima ensure that it is in its appropriate size and shape. Exactly. Yeah. For instance, before you perform a test on bricks, you have been assigned to do quality assessment on a certain company that produces bricks. Na unajua ukitest bricks una crash, si ndio? Sasa hebu imagine ati ndio utest hizo bricks zote lazima uzicrash. Si huyo jamaa hata baki na kitu kuya kuuza. Ukienda ukicrash zote ndio ujue kama iko sawa. Huh? Those guys will have nothing to sell. So it means that it is also our responsibility to know which criteria we are going to use before we before we before we test. Am I going to test all of them? Am I going to test just a few? How will I determine hiyo few yenye nitatest, nitadetermine aje? That is what we want to do here. We are going to see that for samples that are we have many samples. For instance, umeenda kutest in a steel company. Going to test in a steel company, you realize that you will not test all the steel. Okay, you will only test a sample. You'll only test a sample. So we have to come up with a sampling criteria of selecting samples. We have what we call sampling. So we have to know how will we perform this sampling? How will we perform this sampling to ensure that hiyo sample yenye tumechukua, kama tumeenda kutest bricks that huwa wana manufacture 10,000, if I take 50 bricks and crush, they are going to give me the real picture of the extra 10,000 zenye siku crush. Na hiyo ni kazi yenye tunafanya hapa kwa preparation for material testing. Okay, let's have the course outline for the course. You can write that one. The first one will be organize for material testing. That's the first topic that we need to handle. The second topic is to sample construction materials. The third topic will be to prepare samples for testing. Organize for material testing, sample materials, sample construction materials, and then prepare those samples for testing. So it's a very easy, very simple unit. It just entails these three topics. When we are done with these three topics, will be good. So if you have been tasked, let's say you have been tasked to organize. You have been tasked to organize for material testing. Umeambiwa uende ufanye material testing mahali. How will you organize? Utajipanga aje? What do you think you need to have to organize? Yeah, somebody to raise their hand. Umeambiwa uende ufanye material testing mahali. Sasa unataka kujipanga. Si kuorganize ni kujipanga. So unajipanga uende utest. Ni nini na nini utakuwa how will you jipanga? How will you jipanga? Hebu nirudi class hapa. Utajipanga aje? Let's Jose, yes.
So, first of all, you have to
Look for the appropriate tools and equipment for the preparation test. Yeah. Yeah.
Safe precautions like wearing PPEs to ensure the testing environment is safe.
Very good, Tony. Very good, Tony. It is important to identify and to know uh, the safety gears. To identify safety gears or personal protective equipments that you will need. There are places where you will need a helmet. There are places where you will not need a helmet. Maybe the area is dumpy. It means you will need gumboots or boots. So you will need to know. By the way, we need to carry these tools. We need to be on these safety gears. We need to be on these safety gears. Um, yeah, for protection. So it's important. It's important before you go organizing. Part of the task is identifying the safety gears or personal protective equipments you will require. Yes, let's have another point. Another point is from who? Erickson. Erickson,
Yeah.
yes.
What about if we say preparing a time schedule?
Very, very good, Erickson. Preparing a time schedule. Preparing a time schedule. You will need to know how will you work. No, is it something you're going there forever? So you need to prepare prepare time schedule. Yeah, it's one of the things. Time management. You need to know how long am I going to do this task? How long? What resources will I need? Which tools will I need? Which safety gears will I need? And how long am I going there? Sasa, Erickson, that's a very, very, very good point. You need to consider how long. Let me have another slide here. You need to consider how long. How long will you do that work? Or if I want to do maybe 5 tests, how long will one test take? That's also, it will also fall under what Erickson is telling us. How long? The question of how long is very important. Yes. Let's have uh, let's have somebody else that has an idea of what we do when we are organizing. Let me see who that is. Tony Mukaria, still have another point?
I think control samples, like sometimes you need a reference sample to compare against what you are doing.
Very good. Very, very good. So there are tests. For instance, when you're doing research, there are specific tests that you will need to have something that you check against. It's called a control. 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 So Tony is telling us that you need to identify control samples. And how will you go about control? Control ni ile yenye is subject to we are not manipulating it. We are just using it as it is. Maybe there is other, if for instance, if I want to do a test or a research on the effect of admixtures on the strength of concrete, effect of admixtures on the strength of concrete, then it means I will have one sample that has admixtures and another sample that does not have admixtures. The sample that has admixtures will be the experiment or the test sample. But the sample that does not have admixtures will be the control sample. That will be the control. It is where It is the sample from which we are observing against. Sasa, so it's important to also identify how many control samples will I need. Ni kujipanga, unajipanga. Very good, very good, very good. Yeah, Any other point? Yes, my friends, some of my friends here have not spoken. Kabi, Morris, Betty, we have nani wengine? Kuna Isaac, Mutuma. Mutuma, in fact, you are not muted. Tell us. Okay. All right. So we can proceed. We have realized that those are some of the things that you need as you organize. Just to add a few, you also need to identify the personnel. Personnel. How many people? How many people will you need? It's just part of organizing. How many people will you need to do that particular test? Is it a test that can be done by one person, that needs 2 people, that needs 3 people? The personnel, it's also one of the things that is considered. Personnel, how many people will I need to do this thing? There are some specific tests that will require more people. Maybe because you need someone to carry this, you need someone to hold this. You also need to know to identify maybe labels. How will you label the samples? Labeling of samples. How will you label the samples? Labeling, you realize it's one of the things that you'll need to check. So that served as a rationale of why we organize. How do we go about organizing? So in organizing, to put it into context, we are going to look at 5 things. 5 things that I have displayed. 5 things. One of them, let me just check something. We're going to look at 5 things that I have displayed. One of them, we need to know the first subtopic under organizing for material testing will be preliminary site investigation. We'll also look at types of material tests. We'll also look at material laboratory personnel. We'll also look at laboratory equipment maintenance. We'll also look at testing equipments. Which equipments are available for testing? These are some of the things that you need to know. It's in organizing. There are some tests that you will need first of all to apply oil. You will need to apply oil before placing or before doing the test. All that comes in as part of organizing for material testing. So let's get started with a preliminary site investigation. So umepewa project, ukaambiwa hapa ndio nataka kujenga, lakini kabla sijajenga nataka kufanya material testing. What will you do? The first step will be preliminary site investigation. And just to pose a question to you guys, what is preliminary site investigation? Let me come back to class. What is preliminary site investigation? Yes? Yes, Douglas.
The first time you go to the site and start looking around and look how the area is, how the site is, how the things are arranged there, and you come up with your information. Yes.
Very good, very good, very good. Let me clap for you. Let me clap for you. Let me clap for you right here. Very good. You have said it is the first time that you go to the site. You've never been there before. Umepewa project. Akasema aje, the first thing that you do is to just go there. The first thing that you do is to just go there. Let me have a slide here. The first thing you do, amesema kwa site investigation, the first thing you do is to just go there. The first one. The first one is to, amesema just go there. So it's site investigation. Site investigation is the first time site visit. Douglas akasema aje, see how is the site. How is the site? What features will you identify? Are there trees? Are there bushes? Are there what? What else? Kuna bushes. How is it? Is it muddy? Is it dumpy? Is it dumpy? What else? Is it sloppy? Okay, so this one is just gathered by seeing. You don't need to be, you can even send someone and just give them a guideline. Go and see how many trees, how is it, and give us a report. So he's saying that site investigation, one of the things that it entails is a site visit of just familiarizing yourself with the site. Just familiarizing yourself with the site. And that's a good point, Douglas. So in a nutshell, what can you say is site investigation? If you were to write it in an exam, what could you say is site investigation? Who can we have? Erickson? I can see your hand is raised.
Yeah, you can say
Yeah.
it is a pre-visit prior the start of the actual work. Yeah.
Pre-visit.
Yeah.
Can someone perform site investigation without going to the site? Is it possible to do site investigation without going to the site?
You
No.
can't.
You cannot do site investigation without going to the site.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What if I have photos of the site? Is there some information I can obtain from those photos? And can it be called site investigation? Yeah.
The photos can,
Mm-hmm.
but the photos cannot provide the climate of the area.
Oh, the photo, yeah. The photos cannot provide the climate. So the photos can, we have agreed that photos can be used in site investigation, yeah?
Yeah.
But they will provide limited information. Sindio? Yeah, they'll provide limited information. However, what if hiyo siku nimeenda kufanya site investigation nipate kuna jua lakini hiyo place inanyeshanga? Nitajua aje the climate of that area?
To know the climate
Mm.
of the area, you always place a thermometer, then you measure for like a week or a month. Yeah. Then you will understand the climate.
Where do I place the thermometer?
In the laboratory. The area around the laboratory.
Oh, Okay, I see your point, just for us to get to know the temperature. However, maybe the site is in Lokichokchok down there. There's no laboratory, it's a plain field. Hmm? It's plain, there's nothing completely. I want to set up maybe a dam somewhere. Hmm? So, can we agree that there is another way of knowing? Because even if you look at the map of Kenya, you can clearly see the distribution of climatic conditions. Some areas are green, some areas are uh, not green. Let me try pull up one map for us to see. Mhm. Map of Kenya. The map of Kenya. So that we can see if there is a way we can know the climate of an area just by looking at the maps. Okay. Let me share. Let me share in the capture. Chrome. Okay. Okay. So, guys, can you see the map? Can you see the map?
Yes, you can see.
Okay. So in this map, is it possible to tell the climate of an area? For instance, Gitonga Joshua, where's your home?
Mitungu.
Mitungu. I want us to see the
Yes.
climate of Mitungu. If we can know how it is before even we go there. So let's see. Where is this Mitungu? Mitungu is in Meru. So I can come to Meru, zoom in. So the area, the more green the area is, the more it has a cool and wet condition. But the more pale, and hii color ni gani sasa hii? What color is hii? Ni what? Some color. I want us to see Mitungu. Mitungu. Meru. Mitungu tunaenda saidia wapi? Nkobo. Here exactly. I found Mitungu. So if you see here, Mitungu is a cool and wet area, sindio? So before you go to that Mitungu, you have been called to do some site analysis. You are going there with an information of how the site is. You know the climate. Maybe you just need now to know the rainfall patterns, of which the rainfall patterns can also be identified when you are seated, just like me here. I can know how often does it rain in Mitungu. How I can know which months does it rain in Mitungu, because that information is available to the public. It's in the public domain. I don't have to live in Mitungu to know that it rains January. Sindio? So we are saying that a site investigation can also be done without necessarily visiting the site. So what are these steps for site investigation? Let's see. We have said it is called preliminary because you do it before. So we say it's the process of gathering information about the physical, environmental, and geological conditions of a proposed construction site before actual design and building works begin. So before it begins, before those work begin, you do what? You gather information about physical, hivyo venye tumesema, slope, trees, environmental, climate, weather, geological, how is the nature of the earth there. So, and it is done in 3 steps, as we are going to see here. So the first step is what I just did right now. It is called desk study. Sio ndo tumefanya saa hii? That's the first step, desk study. This one, desk study. You can look at it just where you are. You collect, this is step number 1. Okay? You can look at it just where you are. You collect existing information, topographical maps, aerial photos, geological surveys, records of all structures and past site uses. This one can be identified just where you are seated. Okay, so you can look at the maps and know this area. You can know the size of the plot. You can even look at the contours for you to know how slopey, how is the orientation of the land. So that is the first step of a study called desk study. You do it at the comfort of a desk. You can have a physical map, you can have an online map, just like the one we've used. After that, you will proceed to the second one here, which is number 2. This is number 2, step number 2, which we have called site reconnaissance. Site reconnaissance, or the thing that Douglas explained to us, where you are now visiting the site. It's a walkover. It's a walkover in the site. You're just visiting. Yeah? So it is visual inspection of the site and surroundings. Umeenda tu kuona, kusuggest surveying in that site. Some of the things that you will see is recording features such as vegetation. Is it iko aje, iko na reeds, iko na miti mingi, ni miti ya aina gani, hiyo soil yake, is it black, is it white? Those are just some of the visual features that you'll get. Slopes, rocks ziko aje huko, zimepangwa aje, drainage patterns, does it flood in the area? Are there roads that utapata roads zitakufikisha kwa site? Are there existing buildings there around? If there are no buildings, ask yourself, why are there no buildings? Maybe the one that was there collapsed. What are the nearby hazards? Your place inakwanga prone to is it a seismic active area? Hapo kando kunaweza kuwa na geothermal, inaweza burst anytime. Is it near a volcanic mountain that is active? You need to know that. So, and we'll get to see which are some of the information you need to gather when you go for site reconnaissance. The third one now is soil exploration. This is the third step. Soil exploration. Where you have what you call trial pits. We are going to see these, don't worry. Trial pits, boreholes, test pits to examine maybe soil layers and soil properties. So unaenda unachimba, unaona what is the orientation. For instance, I remember you guys learning about the soil profile. We have the topsoil. Topsoil, maybe here is red soil, and so on. Here you have maybe bedrock. So how do you identify what is the depth of maybe the bedrock? You need to identify that when you are doing soil exploration. Maybe I need to collect samples of maybe the black cotton soil that is down here. I need to collect samples. So I need to dig a pit. I dig a pit and extract samples from here. So that is one of the things that is done in soil exploration. In soil exploration, you'll also do tests in the field where you are. In situ means just where you are, just where you are, or in that site, in the site. So you can have what you call maybe things like standard penetration tests, which you are going to see. You can even have things like in situ field density test kama kina kokata. You can have kina kokata, sand replacement, and many other tests that can be done in the site. You also have laboratory testing. So those when you take those samples, you now take them to the laboratory, and you can now do all the other tests that you could not do in the site. Okay, so the big question that we need to ask is, why do you do site investigation? Why do you do site investigation? Maybe let me gather from you guys, from what you've seen. Why do you think it's important for us to do site investigation? Why site investigation? Why site investigation? Just a minute, tumalize kuandika alafu nikuje. Why site investigation? Back to class. You guys have not been seeing what I'm projecting. Oh, so sorry. So sorry. I didn't know that. Guys, so I have written a number of things here I thought you were seeing here. So this was a okay. This was what is a site investigation? The 3 steps. We said there is desk study, where we looked at all that information. There is site reconnaissance, where we looked at all that information. And then there is soil exploration, where we looked at all that information. Yeah, just for the record. Yeah. So why site investigation? Why site investigation? Let's hear from Betty. Betty, okay. Betty has raised the hand, but I'm raising na akatoroka. Let's hear from Tony.
And like to have safe structures to avoid foundation failures.
Yeah, very good.
And
Very good. To have safe structures.
okay, to avoid collapse.
Avoid collapse. So una avoid collapse by doing, ukuwa unajua hiyo soil ni mzuri, si ndio? Collapse.
Yes.
Another person. Let's hear from Betty. I'm unmute finally. So it's Betty alafu Esther.
To help engineers choose suitable maybe construction, maybe designs and methods, maybe kitu kama hiyo.
Very good. So site investigation is important to advise on suitable designs. Yeah, very good. Juu nikijua sasa hapa load bearing capacity iko chini, I will need to select a good foundation design that will transmit the loads in a way that will not cause maybe settlement. Yes, so it helps engineers to get an advice on suitable design and construction methods. Construction method. Yeah, very good. Very good, very good, very good, Betty. Let's hear also from somebody else. I saw someone, Esther.
In order to collect basic information about the site like soil test.
Very good, very good, very good. So to collect, to collect, to collect
Basic
basic,
information.
yeah, basic information
About the site.
about the site, e.g. soil types, ndio unawezaona.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just have a look by the color, you know, this soil is loam, this soil is clay, soil type, basic information about the site. Is it sloppy? Basic, hizo basic zenye ni basic, yeah, basic. Let's have another point. Let's hear from let me tell you who it is. I'm looking at the hands that have been raised. Gitonga Joshua.
Okay, to familiarize with the site so that you can understand where there's need of leveling or such things.
Very good. To familiarize with the site. To familiarize with the site. To familiarize with the site. To know how is the site. What is the gradation? Gradation, iko aje? Is it sloppy? So that you can know where will you need to do leveling. That's very good. Yeah. Number 5. Let's hear from Douglas. Or maybe as Douglas comes in, let's hear from Dennis Bondi. As Dennis prepares himself, let's hear from Tony Mukaria.
To identify site hazards
Very
that may
good.
occur, like flooding.
To identify site hazards, e.g. flooding. We can also
Erosion.
have what else?
I think erosion.
Yeah, erosion. Very good, very good, very good. Flooding, earthquakes, erosion, unstable soils, unstable soils. Very good, very good, very good, very good, very good. Guys are doing well. What else? Is there another point? Let me see who has raised their hands. Okay. So yeah, all those points that you've given are important points. And let's have a look just to put it into context. Because all these points are very good points. So we have said that number 1 is to determine the suitability of the site. Suitability, exactly. You've gotten to know how is the soil, how deep is maybe the groundwater, How deep is the rock, the base rock or the bedrock? To identify ground and subsoil conditions, the strength, the type, and bearing capacity. You guys have already told me that, and we've talked about that. To detect groundwater levels. Very good. Why do you think it's important for us to detect the groundwater levels? Because groundwater also plays a role in when you realize that this was the water table. Any change in water table will cause loosening of soil because of development of things that we call flow nets. Okay, so it makes the soil loose. So your shift in water tables will cause settlement. The more maji inapanda juu ikishuka chini, inapanda juu ikishuka chini, it causes settlement. It causes settlement or what you call also consolidation. Unapata site ilikuwa juu lakini imeteremka juu ya changes in groundwater levels and possible flooding risk, as you guys have told me. Locating existing services kama water pipes ziko wapi ndio usikuje upasue, electric cables ziko wapi, drainage iko wapi. Also check for environmental and legal constraints in that area. For instance, there's an area that says no noise, maybe you should not contaminate, no hunting. Ukiona kuku inapita hapo usishike mguu. So also it provide data for safe and economical foundation design. Exactly. This, I think Esther told us something like that. So you guys have the points that it's very important for you to know that. Yeah. So we have already talked about that. So the stages, it will start with a desk study, just where you are at home or your office. Then you do a site investigation. This site investigation, this one I think I was to say site visit or walk over. Then after that, you go to soil exploration, where you're now looking at the details, where you're now looking at the specific details. So yeah, thank you for that. So I would like you to take this quiz in the next 10 minutes. Let me send you a quiz. I'm sending it to Douglas. You just do the quiz to reflect and see whether Douglas, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how do you deal with the water tables which are almost above the ground?
Water tables which are almost above the ground. Sasa kama if water table is above the ground, it means that it's already a river or something. Let's say is because you can if the water table is above the ground, we imagine a well. Well, we dig wells because water tables are below the ground until the water table, but it's above the ground. It means there's just water. So you can think of the watering techniques. You think of the watering techniques. If you are doing a trench, you do the watering. So ensure that your foundation has gotten to a solid base rock. Then you do the watering just to help you during that time. Ensure that when you are constructing, you have your flow level above. It should always be above the water table. It should always be above the water table. Also, you will need to think of appropriate damping measures. Think of appropriate damp proofing measures. Damp proofing measures to ensure that those damps does not get back to the site, to the place where you are you're built. Iko sawa, Douglas?
Yes, iko sawa mwalimu, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? So I'm sending the link right now. Okay, and finally I want it to be 20 marks. Ni hizi vitu tumeongelea tu saa hii. Very good. So I can now publish. Anyone with the link, publish. Copy responder link, shorten the URL, copy. Douglas, please
Yes,
send
Maria.
please send them that link I just sent you.
Okay.
Or I can paste it here. I send it to the group. I can also paste it in the chat. In the chat, there's a link that I just pasted. Click on that link and do that quiz in the next 10 minutes.